Hi, welcome to the Get Ready with God podcast. My name is Julie Taylor, and I'm your host, and I am not God. Obviously, I'm not an expert. I'm not even a scriptorian. I'm literally just a girl sitting in front of a microphone, and I'm hoping that God is real. The Get Ready with God podcast is the daily devotional podcast to help you see divinity in every day, every single one. Happy you are here. I want to ask you a hard question today. I'm just wondering, just asking, do you feel like you're putting God on trial? And if you do, like, if you find yourself asking questions like, God, where are you? God, how could you let that happen? God, why didn't you answer my prayer? Like, where is God? Is God real? Is it going to show up for me? Why did you disappoint me? I wonder if we could explore how you believe that God feels about you. Because I have a little sneaky suspicion. It's just a theory I'm working on. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's real. But I feel like when I used to believe that I was on trial, that my worth or my closeness with God was constantly on trial, and I had to earn God's love and I had to earn my worth. When I viewed things that way, then I felt like I was more entitled to a relationship with God like that, because that's how I thought he viewed me. So if I feel like God views me in a way of having to earn his love and earn my own worth, then it kind of more naturally pushes me toward reciprocating that kind of relationship with him of prove yourself. Are you real? Prove yourself. Can you do a miracle? Prove yourself. And I'm just curious, have you ever had a relationship where that's the energy, where it's a good relationship, where you feel like you constantly have to prove yourself and your love to a person, where you feel like you're always on trial, you're always on eggshells? Are those good relationships in your experience? Because they're not in mine. What I'm working toward is trusting that I'm not on trial with him and reciprocating by not putting him on trial either. When my baby died, which is obviously not something I wanted, a lot of people were angry on my behalf. And I've shared that before, that a lot of people, kind of reached out and said, like, I'm so mad at God. I don't know how this could happen. And I think that they did that because that was their genuine feeling, but also because I am a very angry person historically. And so I think that they assumed that I was processing the loss with anger. And for once in my whole life, anger was not my response to that situation. And I'm not saying that I'm better for this, but I was really interested in that my reaction to that was not God failed me. It was, I don't understand it. I didn't understand. But it didn't feel like evidence to me that God was not real, or that God didn't love me, or that God was punishing me. I was surprised by my reaction to the whole thing, to be honest. I think looking back, maybe I just didn't even have the capacity to be angry at God in that time. I mean, have definitely gone through phases of wondering why. A lot of bad things happen every single day, and a lot of babies die, literally and metaphorically. And so I think that I can't view that as evidence of God failing me, because then God would be failing every single day. I want to believe that God's love for me is not conditional, and that he's not asking me to wake up every day and prove my worth to him. That's what I want to believe. And so if that's the belief that I'm choosing and searching to support and cultivate, then I'm also going to take God off trial, because that's the kind of relationship I want with divinity. I don't want a keeping score, constant war of proving on both sides. Someone asked me if it's wrong to ask God to prove himself. Like, why is that wrong? Like, I want to believe so bad. Prove yourself to me. And this is what I'll say on that. I think I've been there before, and what I've learned is if my faith is not in a certain place, it doesn't actually matter what God does. I wouldn't be able to receive it. And an angel could appear to me right now and tell me God is real, and I would find a way to deny it tomorrow. That's happened in sacred texts. That's happened in real life. And so we demand evidence, but if we're not in a place to receive it, we can't see it. The evidence is there. I think our job is to get ourselves to a place where we can actually see it. And sitting back and saying to God, prove yourself on my terms. It's not how we get it. It's not how we get faith. So instead, our job has to be to develop our faith and to choose to believe over and over and over again and start to gather the evidence that actually is there. And we'll start to see it as our faith expands. Also, there's a big element of my faith where living in the gray and giving myself permission to choose to believe sort of lets me off the hook from having to make sense of every little thing. The thing that I've learned through leaving faith is that you actually can never make sense of every little thing on either side. If you leave faith, there will be things you can't make sense of and things you can't explain. And if you choose faith, there will be things that you can make sense of and that you can't explain. Same on both sides. So it's like, pick which one you want. So to me, when God is silent or God fails me or bad things happen or a prayer isn't answered the way that I want, if that triggers a huge spiral of, is God real? Does God love me? Then I live my life in continual existential panic. And I've lived that way a lot of my life. And it's just not how I want to live anymore. And so I understand that there are things that are life-altering that make it really hard to keep choosing to believe in divinity in any way. But for me, choosing to fight for faith is easier than trying to make sense and explain away all of the darkness. So this is the fight that I choose. So when you're looking at your relationship with divinity, however that looks for you, try to create a relationship that is good and positive and enriching and meaningful, just as we would any other relationship. And the best relationships in my life have trust and peace and assume the best. And I don't know, you make your own list. Think of your best, strongest relationships in your life and try to emulate that in your relationship with divinity. So if you feel like you're in a tough spot with God, if you're constantly putting God on trial, I think the place to start is to ask yourself, do you think you're constantly on trial with God? Dig into that. And then try to cultivate and build a relationship that you'd actually want. Love you so much. Bye.